Our final story is about climate change. Scientists have tried explaining it for years. They've given lectures, they've published papers, but none of it has really moved our world leaders. Maybe pictures will. Take a look at the first set. It may look like a desert, but it's not. What you're looking at is a reservoir in Spain. 84% empty. You can see the paddle boats and water slides abandoned nearby. Aquatic life driven to death. The reason? Climate change. Spain had its hottest July since 1961. Some parts of the Iberian Peninsula are at their driest in 1200 years. Let that sink in. 1200 years. Now for the next set of pictures. What you're looking at is Italy's longest river, River Po. Large sandbanks have started appearing around it. Why? Again, climate change. This region is facing its worst drought in 70 years. As the river pulled back, it revealed some ghosts of the past, like this one, a bomb from World War II. The device was found by fishermen in the region. They called in the army, which carried out a controlled explosion. Now we go to France. See those beautiful sand plains? What if I told you those are not plains? What you're looking at is a dried up river. Not a single drop of water remains. All the tourist boats have been beached as a result. The restaurants nearby have nearly shut. The reason? Our next set of pictures will give you an idea. Wildfires are raging across southwestern France. Nearly 6,000 hectares of forests have been burnt. This blaze follows two wildfires in the month of July. Put together, they scorched more than 20,000 hectares. What do these pictures tell you? A crisis of biblical proportions. You've seen the pictures, now let me show you the data. 63% of land in Britain and Europe is facing drought. 63%. That's almost the size of India. 46% of the land is under warning. 17% under a state of alert. It's a perfect climate storm. The rains have reduced to a trickle. The temperatures have hit multi-decade highs. As a result, Europe's rivers are drying. The reservoirs barely have any water left. And the situation is the same across the continent. Southern England had its driest July since 1836. Overall, it was Britain's driest July in 20 years. The government has declared amber alert for the next 4 days. Temperatures are so high, it could trigger fires. In France, they already have. It was their driest July since records began in 1959. 3 countries breached 40 degrees Celsius last month: Spain, France, and the UK. Now remember, we're talking about Europe. Their summers are supposed to be pleasant and cheery. It's supposed to be the travel season. Instead, Europe is literally baking.
Europe's literally baking, man. All right. I'm gonna play the rest of this video, man. I want to go ahead and hop into this lesson. All right, grab a couple precepts and we'll end it off. Okay, but yeah, man, I want to give all praise to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shah, Bahashim, Rakaha Kadash. Double honor to the elders and apostles at Great Millstone, those who rule well and who taught me this truth. Salutations to you brothers out there stiffly pushing in all sincerity and diligence. And shalom to the rest of the 1/3 remnant, men, women, and children of the nation of Israel, as well as the speckled bird, Israelites who may look like the heathen, as we await this second Exodus at the hands of Yahweh Shai. And this is your brother Rachagabar. Okay, and yeah, man, you see this this video I have here for you. All right, dealing with the fact that 60% of Europe, all right, is in a drought. All right, Europe's in a drought, man. Okay, Europe is in a drought. Okay, and they're not the only ones. You see, I have an article here I'm gonna show you dealing with the fact that the West Coast over here in America, okay, is in a drought. Okay, we know that the Euphrates River, pursuant to Revelation 16 and 12, is drying up. Okay, so this is a plague, man. This is a plague, okay? But you're going to go ahead and, grab the precept, all right? But as you see these little, as you see the flashing words on the bottom of the screen, okay? It says biblical scenes across Europe. You see that? Biblical scenes across Europe. What else does it say? Europe's worst drought in 500 years, okay? There's another one that I seen flash across. See here. Yeah, rivers dry up, taps empty. Okay, Because the what's gonna happen, man, with all these rivers drying up, these dams drying up due to, they're gonna say climate change. All right, but we know a lot of these wildfires and things are man-made. You know, they have the due technology, meaning direct energy weapons. They have the technology to cause this shit to happen, man. But what's gonna happen is this is gonna further add to the burdens that's already been placed on people. Okay? Because water drying up, which is the drought, all right, it's gonna cause what? That it's gonna shut down those hydroelectric dams. You see, a form of electricity comes from water, man. You know, those hydro dams. Okay, it's gonna shut down the dams, and I believe she said it, or she's gonna say it. All right, but it's the transportation of goods. You see, when the rivers dry up, those freight cargo ships are not gonna be able to transport those goods, man. So it's gonna further add to this crippled supply chain. Okay, it's gonna further add to the crippled supply chain and the lack for these countries to get imports. Okay, so what's that gonna do? It's gonna add to the shortages, which is in turn gonna continue to increase the prices, man. Because what you find out is that all these things have a domino effect on each other, man, and that's why the Most High is plaguing this place. You see, it's gonna fuck up the electricity. Okay, it's gonna fuck up the transportation of goods. Okay, it's gonna fuck up the food supply. You don't got rivers. You're not able to irrigate the land. Okay, you won't be able to grow certain crops. So it's gonna mess up the food supply. And this is the worst drought that Europe has faced in over 500 years, man. 60% of Europe is dealing with this drought. So let's go ahead and grab a precepts real quick, and this will be a quick lesson, you know, Lord willing. Okay, but this is Isaiah chapter 19, starting at the verse 5. All right, because this chapter goes into the destruction of Babylon the Great, man. It refers to Egypt. It refers to this place as Egypt, which we know that Isaiah the prophet, okay, he didn't live during the Egyptian captivity. All right, he lived when we were about to get taken into the Babylonian exile. You see, so who was the Egypt he's referring to would be the spiritual Egypt, which is America, that Scripture speaks about in Revelations. Forget the chapter, okay, but Scriptures tell you that this place is spiritually Sodom, Egypt, Babylon the Great, etc. So anyways, verse 5, it says, and the waters shall fail from the sea, and the rivers shall be wasted and dried up. And is that not what we see here? This is what this video is about. Rivers dry up, taps empty. Oh, and another thing, being able to get drinking water. You see? So that's going to add to what? The famine, which we know is extreme scarcity of food. Well, food and water go hand in hand, man. But you can live longer without food than you can without water. You see? This is a extreme plague the Most High is bringing about. Okay? It says, and the waters shall fail from the sea, and the rivers shall be wasted and dried up. It says, and they shall turn to the rivers far away, and the brooks of defense shall be emptied and dried up. The reeds and flags shall wither. The brooks of defense represents what? The dams. The brooks of defense represents these dams, man. And a lot of these dams are used for hydroelectric power. So I'm gonna have this. I'll show you this article here now before I continue. Okay. Because I was seeing this on the news too. It says U.S. announces major Colorado River water cuts amid historic Western drought. You see that? It's not just Europe, man. It's not just Europe. You see that? It says the U.S. announces major Colorado River water cuts amid historic Western drought. So water cuts now. So now you're going to have to deal with water cuts. I already warned about the electricity cuts, the blackouts, because of the shortage of energy, gas, coal, oil. You see, which I'm not going to read this article, but what you see here, okay, I believe this is a dam. What's this caption say? Yeah. The caption says, people take in the view from the Nevada side of the Hoover Dam with drought-stricken Lake Mead in the background. So these dams are the brooks of defense, man. You know, so they use these dams, all right, in order to get hydroelectric power, which is failing, which is failing. Okay, so let's go back. It says, and they shall turn the rivers far away, and the brooks of defense shall be emptied and dried up. So you just seen that. The reeds and flax shall wither, which represent the different plants and the different plants and crops that grow alongside these rivers, man. It says the paper reeds by the brooks, by the mouth of the brooks, and everything sown by the brooks shall wither, be driven away, and be no more. So not only do you are we dealing with the fact that these farmers are not able to keep up with these inflated costs of fertilizer and these things to grow these crops, okay? The Most High is also bringing drought. Don't matter if you could afford to keep up with these inflationary prices. If the Most High sends a drought in this place and you get no water, no rain, okay, it doesn't matter, which is going to further aid into the famine. Okay, it's a domino effect, man. The Most High is strategic. Everything goes hand in hand. You see, it says, verse 7. Yeah, the paper reeds by the brooks, by the mouth of the brooks, and everything sown by the brooks shall wither, be driven away, and be no more, man. Famine. The fishers also shall mourn, and all they that cast angle into the brooks shall lament. Fishers, yeah. And they that spread nets upon the waters shall languish. Why? Because they won't be able to, the water's going to be dried up. So with the waters drying up, there goes the aquatic life that lives in the water. Fish, okay, you people who like to eat this abominable seafood, okay? It says, moreover, they that work in fine flax and they that weave network shall be confounded, and they shall be broken in the purposes thereof, all that make sluices and ponds for fish. Yeah, because the river's drying up, okay, is a devastating plague, man. It's a devastating plague. And I want to show you this real quick before I finish this video and we're going to close out. All right. But you see this, okay, which a lot of you brothers, all right. We've been going into this, okay, how the Euphrates River is literally drying up. When you look at the water levels from 2020 of May to 2021, the water levels is decreasing, man. And so I wonder how it looks now, that now that this is 2022, near the end of 2022, rather. You see this? It says Euphrates River completely drying up, end of time prophecy. Yeah. So let's grab that prophecy. Revelation 16:12. And the sixth angel poured out his vial upon the great river Euphrates, and the water thereof was dried up, that the way of the kings of the east might be prepared. So that's another thing, man. It's going to destroy, it's going to mess up electricity. Okay. It's going to mess up your drinking water. It's going to mess up crops. It's going to mess up transportation via cargo ships. But it's also going to make it easier because whenever the waters dry up, you're going to have land there. And that's the reason why the kings of the east, all right, are going to be able to travel so easily, okay, for World War III. Okay. So this is all by design, man. Okay. But with that, I want to give all praise unto Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shah. Wahara Hakadash. Shalom to the next one.
Temperatures are so high it could trigger fires. In France, they already have. It was their driest July since records began in 1959. 3 countries breached 40 degrees Celsius last month: Spain, France, and the UK. Now remember, we're talking about Europe. Their summers are supposed to be pleasant and cheery. It's supposed to be the travel season. Instead, Europe is literally baking.
We haven't analyzed fully the event because it is still ongoing, but based on my experience, I think that this is perhaps even more extreme than the 2018. Just to give you an idea, the 2018 drought was so extreme that looking back at least at the last 500 years, there were no other events similar to the drought of 2018. But this year, I think it is really worse than the 2018.
This drought has serious economic consequences. You see, rivers in Europe are not just vital ecosystems, they're transport routes. They carry around 1 ton of freight per citizen every year. Total value more than $80 billion, 80. But right now, those rivers look like this.
Most I was working to work, man. This is beautiful. This is beautiful, man. Prophecy is real, man. And I want to say this, man. Prophecy is undefeated, man. It don't matter what you people say, okay? Prophecy is undefeated. You people explain these things, man, for all you naysayers and scoffers out there. Explain these rivers drying up. Explain the drought. Explain the famine. Explain the war. Explain everything that's prophesied to come to pass. Explain these things, man. Okay? Prophecy is once again undefeated, man. It's undefeated.
Electricity. Western Europe's hydropower output was down 20% in the second to dried sand beds. Without their water, Europe cannot grow food, it cannot transport cargo, it cannot even generate electricity. Western Europe's hydropower output was down 20% in the second quarter of this year. How is Europe planning to tackle this crisis? Each government has announced its own measures. France, for instance, has set up a crisis team.
And we'll end it off there, man, because they're not going to be able to tackle this crisis. You see, this is a plague by the Most High, man. All right. Just like the Egyptians, the pharaohs. All right. They couldn't stop those plagues the Most High was hitting Egypt with. Guess what? This modern day house of bondage. All right. And all of these different countries will not be able to stop these plagues. But with that, all praise to Yahweh, Bachim Yahweh Shah, Bashim Rakakadash, Wa Baba Ba.